Coming up on today's show, we have really exciting topics to discuss, kids. We're going to be talking about the weather and also about the climate. We can find out more about the planet we all live on.
We're also going to be looking at 4 different experiments that are all themed around the weather. So let's get the show started.
Have you ever wondered what the weather is all about? I know I have. The weather is all around us, all of the time. It is an important part of our everyday lives and something that we cannot control. In fact, the weather actually controls everything we do. It controls where we live, what we wear, and even what we eat. For example, if it's raining outside, we may want to cover ourselves up with a raincoat. We may also not enjoy ice cream outside if it is snowing. Likewise, we may not want to have a hot cup of tea when our town is experiencing a heat wave. Now would we? Weather is defined by the day-to-day conditions of a particular place. For example, it was raining at school. Yesterday, it was sunny at home. The weather is the state of the atmosphere at any given time, including things such as the temperature, precipitation, air pressure, and cloud cover. Daily changes in the weather are due to winds and storms, and seasonal changes are due to the Earth's position when it revolves around the sun. Someone who studies the weather is called a meteorologist. Weather predictions are made by forecasters who we see on the television. Usually we see these people on the news. Sometimes these forecasters are known as the weatherman or the weather lady. So, what causes the weather? Because the Earth is round and not flat, the sun's rays don't fall evenly on the land and the oceans. The sun shines more directly near the equator, bringing these areas more warmth. However, the polar regions are at such an angle to the sun that they get little or no sunlight during the winter, causing much colder temperatures. These differences in temperature create a restless movement of air and water in great swirling currents to distribute heat energy from the sun across the planet. When air is in one region, it is warmer than the surrounding air, becomes less dense and begins to rise, drawing more air in underneath. Elsewhere, cooler, denser air sinks, pushing the air outward to flow along the surface and complete the cycle.
Hey boys and girls, I'm Dr. Gareth and welcome to my laboratory. I'm joined with the lovely Nadine. How are you, Nadine?
Hi guys, I'm doing great, thank you. I'm really looking forward to today's experiments and I bet you guys are as well. Also on today's show, we want to see how you imagine the weather to be, so don't be shy, tweet us, email us and send us in all of your weather pictures as we'll be reviewing them later on in the show.
So, Nadine, you ever been in a plane and looked out the window?
Yeah, plenty of times.
Sometimes we can see the clouds right beside the plane and I often wonder what they do. They don't look as solid as how they do in the Care Bear movies. So we asked Charlie to go out and see how they're produced.
For this experiment, you will need a 2-litre clear plastic bottle, matches, and warm water. You will need to seek adult supervision throughout this experiment. Firstly, fill the plastic 2-litre bottle 1/3 full of warm water and place the cap on. As warm water evaporates, it adds water vapour to the air inside the bottle. This is the first ingredient to making a cloud. Squeeze and release the bottle and observe what happens. You'll notice that actually nothing happens. But why? The squeeze represents the warming that occurs in the atmosphere. The release represents the cooling that occurs in the atmosphere. If the inside of the bottle becomes covered with condensation or water droplets, just shake the bottle to get rid of them. Take the cap off the bottle. Ask an adult to light a match and hold the match near the opening of the bottle. Then, drop the match in the bottle and quickly put the cap on, trapping the smoke inside. Dust, smoke or other particles in the air is the second ingredient you need to make a cloud. Once again, slowly squeeze the bottle hard and release. What happens? A cloud appears when you release and disappears when you release. The third ingredient in clouds is a drop in air pressure. Water vapour, water in its invisible gaseous state, can be made to condense into the form of small cloud droplets. By adding particles such as smoke, enhances the process of water condensation, and by squeezing the bottle causes the air pressures to drop. There we have it, that's a cloud.
It looks like Charlie had lots of fun doing that experiment. It really did explain exactly how clouds are made. It's definitely something I think our viewers at home are going to enjoy doing too.
So, the show last week was themed on electricity, and some of the experiments included the human circuit and the ice tray battery experiment.
As usual, we also asked you to send in all of your drawings and letters in the post, and here's what you sent in.
First of all, we have this lovely picture of a pirate, and that is from Fran, age 8. It says pirates like electric, and it's wearing a beautiful red bandana there as well.
Who is he captured with that red hair? I don't know if that's me or you, but I don't think I have red hair. I mean, what's going on with that?
Well, it's a lovely picture. Thank you very much.
Okay, and next up we have a letter here from Jamie, aged 7.5. Hello, Jamie. And the letter is addressed to Dr. Gareth. So it says, Dear Dr. Gareth, I really liked the episode last week. I learnt a lot about electricity, and I drew a picture of you. And here is a lovely picture.
I love
Dr.
that
Gareth,
picture.
With your glasses.
Remember the glasses and, of course, the hair.
Of course. What's up next?
We also have another letter, this time from Grace, aged 7.5. It says, My name is Grace. I'm 7.5 years old. I want to know even more about where power comes from. Here is a picture of what I think power may look like, and here's her amazing picture of power. Thank you very much, Grace.
Next up, we also have another drawing, and I believe this is from Sam, aged 8. It's a lovely picture of, I think, is that me and you, Dr. Gareth? I'm not really sure.
I think it must be. Well, they got the glasses there, haven't you? Always glasses with me, of course.
Yes, that's a lovely picture in sentence from Sam, aged 8. Very beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And last but not least, we've got this lovely picture of a light bulb from John, aged 5. I especially love how you've even showed the light bulb being on, so it shows that it's using power as well. All that light out of there. Thank you very much, John. Still coming up on today's show, we've got 3 experiments, including making rain in a jar.
Rainy days are gloomy days, and they can also be a bit of a bummer. As because of this, we can't go outside and play with our friends and enjoy the sun.
However, rain can be exciting when we know how it's produced. Next up, we're going to look at an experiment that teaches us basically how rain is produced.
I messed up before.
The materials you are going to need for this experiment are a glass jar with a lid, hot water and ice cubes. Please seek parental permission before starting this experiment. Firstly, you need to pour about 2 inches of very hot water into the glass jar. Get an adult to do this for you. Get the adult to cover the jar with a lid. Place the ice cubes into the lid. Once you have done this, it is now time to see what is happening. The cold plate causes the moisture in the warm air, which is inside the jar, to condense and form water droplets. This is the same thing that happens in the atmosphere. Warm, moist air rises and meets colder air high in the atmosphere. The water vapour condenses and forms precipitation that falls onto the ground. We know this as rain.
If we take what we've learnt from the experiment and think of it on a larger scale, that will be the process of rain.
So, now that we know a little bit about the weather, what about the climate? The two of them are different and not interchangeable. What do you think the climate's about, Nadine?
Well, from what I know, the climate is different from the weather, but let's find out what climate is really about. Let's watch the next clip so we can understand a little bit more about what the climate is.
So now we've learnt a little bit about the weather. What about the climate? The two are different and not interchangeable. So what is the climate really all about? Climate is often spoken about at the same time as weather, but is something very different. The climate is the common, average weather conditions at a particular place over a very long period of time. For example, this might be 30 or 40 years. We learn about different climates all around the world. Deserts, for example, have a very hot and dry climate, whereas the Antarctic has a very cold and dry climate. The climate system is made up of 4 different elements. These include the atmosphere, oceans, land, ice, and the biosphere. So what are these different elements and what are they responsible for? The atmosphere covers the Earth. It is a thin layer of mixed gases which make up the air that we breathe. The thin layer also helps the Earth from becoming too hot or too cold. Did you know that the oceans cover about 70% of the Earth's surface? Their large size and thermal properties allow them to store a lot of heat. Land, on the other hand, only covers about 27% of the Earth's surface, and the land topography influences weather patterns. Ice is the world's largest supply of fresh water. It covers the remaining 3% of the Earth's surface, including most of the Antarctic and Greenland. Ice plays an important role in regulating climate because it is highly reflective. The biosphere is part of the Earth's atmosphere, land and oceans that supply the living plants, animals and organisms. It is the place where plants and animals, including humans, like me and you, like to live.
Dr. Gareth, did you know that severe thunderstorms can be one of the impacts of climate change? Climate change represents a change in long-term weather patterns. They can also become warm or cold. We did an experiment a little bit earlier to see just how thunderstorms are made.
Just to remind you kids, don't forget we're always waiting for your drawings on the topic of weather. Be creative and have fun with it.
Getting back to our topic about the thunderstorms, here's a clip showing one more experiment which will help you understand how weather conditions appear.
Thunderstorms can be quite frightening, but have you ever wondered what causes them? In this next experiment, we'll be taking a look at how they are made. For this experiment, you will need clear plastic container, red food colouring, and ice cubes made with yellow food colouring. Fill the plastic container 2/3 full with lukewarm warm water. Place a yellow ice cube at one end of the plastic container. Add 3 drops of red food colouring to the water at the other end of the plastic container. And watch what happens. What happens here is the yellow and cold water sinks, while the red and warm water rises. This happens because of convection. The yellow water represents the cold air mass, and the red water represents the warm, unstable air mass. A thunderstorm is caused by unstable air, and convection plays an important part. A body of warm air is forced to rise by an approaching cold front. Therefore, thunderstorms form.
So now we know that climate change and global warming are issues that we have to take notice of. But how do we take measures to prevent it?
So guys, here are the top 10 tips for avoiding climate change.
Number 1, turn off the lights when they're not in use. And 2, shut off computers when they're not in use as well.
Use a power strip for your TV, video game systems and other electronics. Flip the power switch off when you're not watching TV or playing games. Even when you turn off your TV or DVD player, it's still using energy. Using a power strip will make sure no energy is being wasted. Unplug chargers when not in use.
5, take shorter showers. Heating water uses energy. And 6, walk short distances or ride your bike instead of asking for a ride in a car.
Close the blinds on a hot day if the sun's shining in. Dress lightly instead of turning up the air conditioning and using a fan to stay cool. Dress warm inside your house when it's cold outside instead of turning up the heat.
Wait until you have loads of clothes to wash before using the washing machine. Don't just use the machine for one item just because it's your favourite shirt, and don't throw your shirt into the dryer just to get a few wrinkles out. And 10, plant a tree. It's fun to do and it helps to save the environment.
There you have it, kids. Let's all take the right steps from now on with help saving our Mother Earth. After all, she's all we have to live on. What's the one thing we eagerly wait to see after the rain stops and the sun's still shining?
That's right, it's a rainbow. Rainbows are usually formed by a big arch of colours in the sky, but today we're going to show you how to make a rainbow indoors by using just a few simple household items.
That's definitely something educational we could do to kill time and produce something beautiful.
Speaking of beautiful things, it's that time of the show where we get to review your beautiful and amazing artwork and letters that you've been sending in since the beginning of the show.
That was one of the most interesting artworks and opinions I've seen on the topic of the weather. Hey Dr. Gareth, did you manage to catch the eclipse the other day?
I did, Nadine, did you?
Yeah. Yes, I did. I really wanted to make sure I caught at least a glimpse of it, as it's a phenomenal experience that happens every decade.
That's great. Sometimes, during their orbits, the Moon and the Earth form a line with the Sun. When this happens, an eclipse occurs. When this happens, part of the Sun's light is blocked. The sky slowly gets dark as the Moon moves in front of the Sun. When the Moon and the Sun are in a perfect line, it's called a total eclipse. They're very rare, and most people only see one in their whole lifetime.
Well, kids, we are coming to the end of our show today. Let's have a look at what's on the show next week.
Next week's show will be in the theme of nature, and we'll be looking at some experiments, including the experiment of transpiration, where we take a flower and we change its whole colour.
Before we leave, we're going to show you a few simple experiments here in the studio that does not require many materials. The first experiment we're going to do is going to make the sound of thunder.
All you need for this experiment is a brown paper lunch bag. Then fill it up with air. Twist the open end and close it with your hand. Hit the bag with your free hand. Hitting the bag causes the air inside the bag to compress so quickly that the pressure breaks the bag. The air rushes out and pushes the air outside away from the bag. Air continues to move forwards in a wave. The moving air reaches your ear and you hear a sound like this.
Thunder is produced in a similar way. Lightning strikes, energy is given off that heat the air through which it passes. This heated air quickly expands, producing an energetic wave of air reassuring in a sound called thunder. Cool, huh?
The next experiment is the tornado experiment. Be right back, kids.
Hey kids, today we're doing a very messy experiment, so we're outside. Let's get started.
The things you will need are 2 2-litre clear plastic pop bottles, empty and clean, some water, and some sellotape to connect the 2 2-litre bottles together. Turn the tornado maker so that the bottle with the water is on top. Swirl the bottle in a circular motion. A tornado will form in the top of the bottle as the water rushes into the bottom bottle.
I want to say that again. Let's use some movie magic to do so.
The swirling motion you give the bottle forms a vortex and is an easy way to create your own tornado.
To summarise what we have just learnt on the show today, earlier on in the show we took a look at 4 different experiments to learn the process of rain, the foundation of the formation of clouds, and the reason why thunderstorms and rainbows appear.
Other than that, we have also learned about the weather and climate and how they aren't actually interchangeable. We also took a look at some of the artwork that you sent in, so don't forget to send in more of them for next week's episode, which is in the theme of nature.
Unfortunately, that's all the time we have left on for today's show, kids.
Don't forget to tune in next week at the same time and same place to learn more about nature.
Bye, kids!
Bye, kids!